Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are here with 6 loner decks. Today, 3 dark and 3 light for the new event, Light versus Dark, or Dark versus Light, or Dark versus Dark, or Light versus Light. It depends. Konami has really fumbled the bag on this one, where they're just now giving you whoever to duel against. Sometimes you'll just duel against someone in Ranked. For some reason, I don't know how they did this, but this event has been really bad in terms of matchmaking. But let's talk about the loner decks, the decks that you get to play for free, starting off with Light. Now I'm going to talk about each one of the decks first for Light, then we're going to hop over to each of the decks for then we'll hop into the replays, then we'll hop into the decks for Dark, and then we'll hop into the replays for those. So we're going to do the quick explanation of the decks, just a quick synopsis. So here we have the 3 decks. We have Bujin, we have Psyframe Gear, or Psyframes, and then we have, of course, Starry Night. So, Bujins, if you don't know, are centered around mostly Yamato, but more so just having cards in the graveyard that are beasts to facilitate the beast warriors that are the monsters on field during the end phase, and basically just kind of protecting those with the various different effects of the monsters in grave. That's kind of the idea. However, generally that doesn't really work all that well, mostly due to the fact that the Bujins just aren't very strong. Turns out, just ending on Yamato Pass with maybe an interaction in hand or on field isn't very good. And also 1 Crane. Actually a joke, but 1 Crane. Do keep that in mind. At least when you're playing this, because this card is actually one of the few cards that's actually good. However, you can just kind of spam out a whole bunch of guys and potentially attack for lethal. You probably want to play it going second and hope that you just open like Raigeki or Harpy's Feather Duster or something along those lines. And yeah, you can do quite a bit. You could maybe make Exciton Knight. I don't know. It's fine. It's the most fun to play, that's for certain, but it's not very good. Moving on, we have ourselves Psyframe Gear. Honestly, this one's also not very good, but at the very least, it's something. You can prevent your opponent from doing stuff. Like, for example, if they summon a monster, you can summon your own guys and then do nothing with them. Or you could maybe negate a spell, or negate a monster, or negate a battle, and that's kind of it. That's all that the deck does. Theoretically, Zeta is pretty decent, and being able to utilize the field spell effectively to generate additional advantage by going into a synchro monster during your opponent's turn is pretty nice. However, all in all, it's not exceptional by any stretch of the imagination. It is okay though, and with the additional cyber stuff, like for example the cyber gadget and the Lady Debug, you are able to go into things like Lambda more effectively, as well as, you know, potentially ending on things like a Firewall Dragon that could be co-linked. It's very difficult to actually pull that off, but that's an option. And then of course we have ourselves the, what I believe, best light deck for the loner decks, and that is Starry Dragon. If you don't know what Starry Dragon does, Starry Night, Starry Dragon, on special summon, on normal or special summon, from the hand, you are able to pop a card on the field. That's it. Just target a card, pop it. No once per turn, nothing like that. And if it destroys, if it battles a dark monster, it can't be destroyed by battle, and you can banish the opponent's monster. At the start of the damage step, you banish it until the end phase, and then it makes a second attack. So it allows you to just kind of like deal with that monster, get it out of there, and then attack for a little bit more damage, which is very nice. And against, theoretically, mostly dark decks, hopefully you're playing mostly against dark decks, who knows, it should be pretty good. On top of that, we have things like Blast for additional, or for a negation by bouncing a card to hand. You have Arrival to either special summon it or bounce it back to the hand. You also have some pretty decent Xyz, Utopia, Exciton Knight, Starry Night, things like that with your myriad of level 4s, but there aren't that many. It's okay, but it's not great. You also can play Ties of the Brethren, but luckily the field spell is banned, or not the field spell, the barrier statue is banned, so you're not going to like be barrier statuing anyone. And then there's things like Harpy's Feather Duster and Infinite Impermanence, and randomly Compulse. I guess Compulse is pretty decent, being able to bounce back your Starry Night, Starry Dragon to then special summon it again with something like Arrival or Ceremony. So it's decent, but this is probably the best one, mostly just due to the fact that it gets significantly better against a dark deck. So that's it for the decks. Let's hop into the replays and show you how these decks perform. Alright, so here we are going first with Bujin, and well, this isn't the greatest of hand, but it's fine. We grab up the Yamato, activate, or normal summon the Yamato, grab up Crane, and pitch one of the spells that are useless. Both of these spells are absolutely useless. Just genuinely bad. My opponent reveals that they are on rockets, which is kind of Dragon Link for this event, so it's pretty good. They're going to go for the Quad Whirl, and then at this point I realize, oh, that's a Time Thief card. This is actually just the loner deck. They're going to pop my monster, which is very, very funny, and then they're going to normal summon and special summon it into Redoer. Out comes Redoer. They're going to go to the battle phase, which is really weird because now they just have a random Quad Whirl on their side of the field. But, hey, Time Thief Redoer is pretty good. We do have Crane, though, which is pretty nice, and we draw a second Tenki. They also grab up the Arasuda, which is weird. They're going to banish in order to grab our spell from the graveyard and attach it to the Time Thief Redoer, which gives them a draw. We're going to grab Torifune, which, if you don't know what this card does, it tributes special summons 2 Bujins with different types from the deck, which is pretty nice. We're going to special summon the Mahitotsu, and then send the one that pops a spell trap. So we're going to pop that spell trap, which happened to be pretty good, retrograde, pretty nice. And then we're going to try and bounce or something like that. The Redoer, they're going to banish it and summon 2. And then we're going to go for the, what was it? Torifune. This allows us to now go for Susanoo pretty effectively. We're going to activate the Susanoo, grab the one that special summons itself, special summon it, and then link those off for Ahashima, which then allows us to go and Exi into Tsuchini, whatever this guy. Pitch a card, and then we draw into probably the best card that it could have been, Hiroku. This card is fantastic. We're going to banish in order to rank up into the Amaterasu. Amaterasu is going to activate its effect in order to special summon out the Yamato again, and at that point my opponent realizes that the game is over. With Susanoo being able to attack over everything and then attack straight up with all of the rest of the monsters, as well as the Yamato being able to then cycle for a card that we needed, we're pretty much in the clear there, and they would have had an empty board with just Redoer, so we're probably fine there, right? Alright, here we are with Psyframes going second, which is exactly what you want, because Psyframes don't actually do a whole lot. My opponent is going to reveal that they are on vampires with DB or something. I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to imperm this. This seems like the best imperm. I'm also going to activate the alpha here because my opponent did special summon a monster, so now the alpha can special summon itself and special summon the driver as well, which may seem weird, but it does allow us to actually get this feel zone in order to synchro summon into a Zeta, which is pretty nice. We also grab the Delta because of negation of spell cards. I figured there's no reason to grab a second Gamma since we already have Gamma, so there's that. And then my opponent reveals that they are just going to make DPE and pass. Cool. Now, notably, I figured they couldn't have anything because they already pitched Dasher. I was wrong. They also play Plasma. For no reason. They just have Plasma. Why? Why do they have this card? Doesn't matter. It's fine. Banish. Whatever. Draw the second Feel Zone, which is whatever. We're gonna cycle back to grab up the Zeta, and then we're gonna normal summon the Debug and grab up Backup Secretary, special summon the Backup Secretary, and go into Lambda. So now the Gamma is live. Fantastic. We're just gonna go to the battle phase, walk over the Anaconda, and I know what you're saying. Why didn't you summon the Zeta in attack position? You can't. Psychic Feel Zone prevents you from summoning it in attack. It has to be summoned in defense. So there you go. I'm then going to link off into a second Lambda, which then allows me to go and activate the Zeta effect to put back both the Zeta and the Lambda. At this point, I'm just going to pass, and I'm going to allow them to pop the Lambda, and then we actually negate the DPE summon effect, so that it doesn't actually come back. Because had I just negated the effect to pop a card, it would have just come back and been more of a nuisance. So yeah, no real point in doing that. Out comes Unizombie that they drew for turn. Okay, interesting. They're going to pitch in order to go for the Zombie Vampire, Zombie Familiar, Vampire Familiar, and then send it to the graveyard Ghost Sleeper, which allows them to draw Ghost Fusion. Now, notably, they know that I have searched Delta. So, don't know what we're going for here, but I do negate their spell, and out comes Driver. Cool. They're going to tribute summon here the Scarlet Scourge in order to special summon back the Vampire Familiar. Now, notably, the Vampire Familiar had already activated its effect, so there's no activation there. Then, mind you, they go for Zombie Dragonlord. I'm going to read the text of Zombie Dragonlord for you, and I want you to realize what my opponent realizes before they do, okay? This took quite some time for them to actually figure out the issue with this play. During your opponent's turn, quick effect. You could target a zombie in your graveyard, accept itself, special summon. Fantastic. Quick effect, special summon on the opponent's turn. Good to know. Also, if this card is in your graveyard, banish a zombie you control, special summon this card. Hard once per turn. on each of that effects. Okay? Good to know. Fantastic. Let me read this second part again. If this card is in your graveyard, banish a zombie monster you control. Not in your grave, not your opponent controls, you control. Notably, they don't have Zombie World up. So this Denier is a warrior. So out comes Avenged Slayer. Then they're going to activate the effect of said monster, realizing, whoops, I have just the Avenged Slayer, which I just linked off, utilizing the monster that I am now activating to summon that guy, and now I'm going to banish it, and they just concede. That was definitely a shame scoop, but I'm honestly not going to win with Cyframes. It's not going to be good. It's just not going to be good. So there you go. Alright, and here we are going first with Starry Night, and we drew 2 Rael as well as 2 Balefire, which is fantastic. So we're going to start off with the Balefire here in order to grab up the Starry Night, Starry Dragon. Then we're going to normal summon the Rael in order to grab up a Rival. A Rival allows us to then special summon said Starry Night, Starry Dragon, so that seems pretty good. We're then going to also set the Continuous Trap. This card is terrible. And my opponent reveals that they are on Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Wow, okay, that's not great for us, I'm not going to lie, because now we don't get to pop a card. Well, I'm just going to special summon this guy because he's not going to do anything. He's just here. I want you to know that this card technically is a solemn warning-esque effect, right? When your opponent summons a monster, like for example with a Synchro summon or an Xyz summon or something like that, you negate it and kill it, right? Stop it. However, that is a when effect, which means if your opponent were to activate a card to special summon said thing, like for example a trap, or a monster effect, or a spell, yeah, that doesn't work. Anyway, we're going to start off with the Balefire here, to the which my opponent is going to go for Soul of the Supreme King to summon out Zark. Zark is then going to activate its effect, which is not going to resolve, but they're also going to activate Eradicator to call spell. When they saw that, I searched a rival, and there is a trap on my... I don't know what they're doing. But they called spell, and out comes the second Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Notably, not the one that is revealed, which would have then allowed them to set a card. They instead decide to summon the second one in their hand. Okay. Out comes Starry Night, Starry Dragon. We're going to pop that monster, and then we're going to go into the Starry Night. Starry Night then allows me to special summon out the Estelle. We then normal summon the Rael. Rael is then going to grab up Ceremony, and we are going to then proceed to the battle phase and deal as much damage as we can. Just kidding, Zark hits the field. Okay, well, not really anything to do about that, but they also have an Imperial item. Wow, interesting, to say the least. So I couldn't banish to actually deal the lethal amount of damage because they're on 2,000, but that's okay. We're going to just set one and activate Ceremony. Now I know what you're saying. Why did we not get rid of the Estelle? They could just walk over that. That's like a lot of damage. So Estelle actually has an effect to special summon by tributing itself to special summon from hand. So here, this is actually very, very cool. We actually have several ways to bounce this monster multiple times on our opponent's turn. Ceremony can special summon from the hand. A rival can bounce back the monster to the hand, along with Blast can bounce it back to hand. So there we have 2 ways to get it from the field to the hand. We also have Ceremony, which special summons. We also have Estelle, that special summons. That's 2 ways to get it onto the field as well. So that is technically 2 additional pops, which is very cool. And then this is also a negate, which is also very awesome. So all in all, I'm feeling pretty good about this. And my opponent is not feeling pretty good, because we're going to go for the Blast here and negate the effect, to the which then my opponent realizes, oh no, there goes my entire field. Oh, sorry, no, they don't realize this yet. They activate the Layer of Darkness, and I'm like, okay, that's not going to happen. And then they concede. They concede. Now, notably, that Layer of Darkness actually does kill me because, well, it doesn't actually kill me, but it's very, very good against this deck, and the reason for it is because everything becomes dark. Turns out, you kind of need lights in this deck. So, whoops. But yeah, there you go. Alright, and here is the first dark deck with Inzektor. Inzektor is an archetype that centers around sending your equip cards to the graveyard to generate advantage off of things like Dragonfly and Centipede by searching cards, popping cards with Hornet and when it's sent to the graveyard, and changing levels with Ladybug to go into some Xyz monsters. That's it. That's the whole archetype. It's really bad. I don't have anything else to say. Harpy's Feather Duster and Raigeki. hope and pray. That's all. You're also playing bad cards like Ultimate Cocoon of Ultimate Evolution, which just doesn't do anything for you. I mean, you could technically summon Chaos Angel. That's a good card, right? That's a good card. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we have Time Thief Rocket. I don't know. This one's really weird. It's just a way to get a whole bunch of 4s onto your side of the field and maybe a Borreload Savage Dragon. It's pretty decent, all things considered. But also Holotea's in here, so, you know, it's not, like, the greatest. But yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, you have an Omni Negate for spells and traps, which is pretty good. You have Redoer, which has the ability to, stack a card from your opponent's hand or from your opponent's field onto the deck. You also have access to things like Chaos Ruler and Access Code. So it's not terrible, but it's not like insane. It's just kind of rank 4 turbo or like level 8 turbo. I don't know. It's a weird hybrid. It's very strange, but it works. I don't know. It just kind of works. Not great, but it does. However, talking about decks that actually work, this one. Turns out Orcust is, like, probably the best deck in this format. Reason being, you can play it with, like, a myriad of other things, most notably Tear. Turns out Tear is also pretty good. Who would have thunk? But, notably, this deck also being able to end on things like Crescendo, as well as a Dingirsu to special summon, or, a Galatea for additional protection, or whatever it may be, is pretty good. Yeah, Orcust combo is good. Who would have thunk? So, that's basically all that this is. It's just Orcust combo with a whole bunch of terrible cards in here to just more heavily... I don't know how to say this. But, like... Oh, what is the word? Dilute! The word is dilute. Oh my gosh, I actually had to look it up. The deck is diluted with a whole bunch of other useless cards that just aren't necessary, like all of the Ally of Justice stuff. But alas, here we are. So it's Stuff Turbo, and also Drug Strike Fighter is in here because reasons. Anyway, let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going second with Inzektor, which is actually where you want to be. Going second with this deck is much better, given the fact that you actually want to utilize things like Hornet to pop cards your opponent controls. So, there you go. My opponent reveals that they are on a fun deck. We'll just say that. Also, I'm playing against a light opponent. No, it's dark. Yeah, light versus dark, by the way. Great event. No, yeah, we're playing against a dark deck for reasons, I don't know. They're immediately going to activate the Metaverse in order to grab up the Layer of Darkness. Fantastic, doesn't matter, I have a Layer of Darkness. I have a Harpy's Feather Duster. They're going to activate the different Dimension Ground, which is, oh, so very fun. So, yeah, we now have all of our monsters banished, so we're not really going to be able to do anything this turn. Kind of sad. We're going to just normal summon the Centipede and equip it with the Hornet for the additional attack boost, and just attack in for 21. And just kind of pray that this is enough. And anyway, my opponent just sets one, and I'm like, cool, Hornet immediately deals with that. So that's fine. Make it to the main phase. We draw a second Hornet, which is very, very funny. So we're going to activate the Hornet, pop the card in the on the field, and grab up the Dragonfly off of the effect of our Hornet. We're then going to equip it with the Hornet, and equip again with the Hornet, and my opponent realizes, oh, the game is over. So they just concede, which it was true. The game was over. Harpy's Feather Duster, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, here we are once again going second, this time with Rocket's Time Thief. It's mostly Rocket with this hand, but trust me, we'll get to the Time Thief stuff. My opponent reveals that they are on Blue Eyes. They grab Alternative, which is very funny, so they most likely have the Jet Dragon already in hand, so there's that. I draw the Imperm. A little bit late, but that's fine. We're going to go for the quick launch into the Recharger, and then we're going to activate the Time Thief hack and link off into the Striker Dragon. Now I know what you're saying. Why did we do this the way that we did? Trust me, just follow along. We're going to go and activate the Striker Dragon in order to grab back the Recharger, and then activate the effect of the Boot Sector launch to special summon out 2, and then go for the Rocket Tracer. We're then going to go into Chaos Ruler. Chaos Ruler activate its effect, reveal a whole bunch of cards. I don't know, Regulator, I guess? Sure, Regulator, who cares, it doesn't really matter. We're going to pop a card in order to go for another Recharger to grab up the Quad Boro. Quad Boro is going to pitch a card in order to pop itself to bring back the Caliber and the Rocket Recharger, to then go for the Borderload Savage Dragon with 2 negates. That was the main purpose of this. We're going to bounce back the Regulator to the hand in order for us to go for the Perpetua. Now, this is actually Yeah, a mistake. I should have just gone for Time Thief Redoer here, but it's fine. We're going to summon out the Regulator here and then realize, oh yeah, this card can only tribute itself if you control no other monsters. This card is so unbelievably bad. Why is this card so bad? I do not understand this, but alas, here we are. I'm just going to boost Perpetua because it's funny, and I'm just going to walk over the monster and pass. I mean, we have Borreload Savage Dragon. We should be fine, right? I'm going to detach a card in order to special summon out the Chrono Corridor, which technically has a battle phase thing where you tribute it, and then if you would take damage, your opponent takes the damage. It's not great, but it's something. We're going to also then activate the effect of our, whatchamacallit, in order to steal the blue eyes that they had in grave, to which my opponent will then concede. Look, some of these matches aren't the greatest, but it does showcase what the deck can do, so there's that. Alright, I don't know why I'm going second again, but alas, here we are going second with Orcust! Yay, Orcust! And Assault Synchron. I don't know why Assault Synchron is in here. I really don't. Anyway, my opponent is going to reveal that they are on, I don't know, Boral Supplier? Like, it's something. It's something. It ain't the loner. And out comes Verte, and I immediately go, oh, it's DPE pass. Cool. Okay, so we have to deal with... Okay, so we have to deal with DPE, and that's it. Don't know why we decided to pop the Verte there, but okay, I guess to play around, Super Poly? Who is playing Super Poly? Why would... I don't know. Anyway... we're going to start off with the Orchestrated Return, and we actually ended up seeing the Brass Bombard, which is very nice, and then we draw into Harpour, which is fantastic. So we're going to activate the Orchestrated Babble to then allow us to quick play all of our monsters, which is pretty nice. So we're going to special summon out with the Brass Bombard, sorry, the Nightmare. We're then going to normal summon the Harpour, and then special summon the Synchron, which notably, was a terrible mistake. I should not have special summoned this, because if they decided to pop the Harpour, I would have died. I would have died immediately, because I wouldn't have had anything, because it turns out the one level 9 that we have in here requires a Gen X tuner. Who made this deck? I'm playing a Gen X. Why is a Gen X tuner in here? I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. That's fine. We can now go for Infernity Doom Archfiend. Fantastic. We're going to target this guy to negate its effects. And then I'm actually going to quick play, activate the effects of the Orcust Harpour in order to special summon a monster. Now, should I have done this? Maybe not. But I was like, oh, they'll probably just target the battle. And now I can actually give them a different target or something along those lines. And then I summon out the Girsu. And this was actually a pretty good thing for me. We're then going to link off into the Galatea. Activate the effect of the Galatea, set the Crescendo, cool. Activate the Orcust Nightmare, send to the graveyard the Symbol Skeleton. Hey! Symbol Skeleton revives from the grave. So that monster that we just sent to the graveyard, basically for free, that didn't even activate its effect, we now get to send, so that's pretty nice there. Or summon, and then that sends with the World Legacy World 1. We're going to go for the World 1, special summon back the who was this? The Symbol Skeleton, and then we can go for the IP Masquerena into Dingirsu. Dingirsu can then reattach the Nightmare, and then we can pass, or sorry, go to battle. I forgot. We had battle phase here. And then we can pass the turn with 2,600 life points from my opponent. Now, notably, the Orcust Crescendo is not live because we don't have a Link monster, but we do have access to a Link monster as long as we detach it here off of the Girsu. So, again, but due to the fact that the DPE has come back to the field, it's likely that we are going to actually have access to the Dingirsu protection. So, of course, we go for the Dingirsu, and then we also special summon it with the Orcust Symbol Skeleton at quick effect speed to go for the Galatea. Galatea can then also reset the, I don't know, whatever this is. It's not going to do anything, but it's here. And then we're also going to protect the Galatea, to which my opponent will say, no, none of that, and then I will say, yeah, no, that's fine. Banish it, goodbye DPE, nice DPE pass deck. It's really interesting. They banished Dasher. Okay. Anyway, out comes the Boot Sector launch. So they're going to special summon 2 monsters because we have a total of 3 monsters. And then out comes the Silver Rocket that they popped off of the Rocket Tracer. And they decided to pop the Denier for some reason instead of the Boot Sector. Not entirely sure what's going on there, but that's fine. We're going to go and shuffle away their tuner so that they don't have access to any of their synchros. And out comes this board. I'm just gonna, that's all. They're also playing a second Boot Sector, so I don't know why they didn't just pop the Boot Sector. It's fine. it's whatever. We're gonna go for the Orcust Harp Horror here to grab at the Girsu UX Mech Knight to send the Symbol Skeleton, and at this point, the game is well and truly over, and I draw the Ruin Force, which is so unbelievably funny. We're gonna go for the Symbol Skeleton here during the draw phase, so that they cannot activate the effect of the IP Masquerena. So we're gonna just send the IP Masquerena away, and then go for the Orcust Nightmare, which is well and truly over lethal. I didn't really even need to do that, but alas, my opponent concedes, realizing I had lethal on board, so cool. Good game. Alright, so that was a lot of decks, and hopefully this made at least a lick of sense as to what you should play. So for lights, it's pretty simple. Play the Starry Night or just anything, because they're all bad. It doesn't really matter. But for darks, there's definitely one clear, better one. And while it isn't the greatest, it is still good. Orcust. Yeah, Orcust happens to be the best one. Why am I not surprised? So, all in all, there's that. But yeah, honestly, this event is kind of a joke. I don't really have anything else to say. It's just a joke. It's just bad. It's just a bad event. It's just so poorly executed. An idea that is pretty good in concept, that has just dropped the ball in almost every regard. So don't really even want to explain this too much, but yeah, there it is. There's the loner decks. If you want to quickly do this event, I would suggest just playing like Warrior Equip OTK on the dark, and on the light side, don't play this event. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, I like us very much, so appreciate it. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.